Hi, Innocent. It's Jason Hawkins here from K&D Digital, and I'm about to just start your analysis of your website, powergridsolutions.com.au. Thanks very much for the opportunity, and thanks for visiting our site and taking a look at the services we can provide. Okay, let's get into it. So, Power Grid Solutions itself, there are some positives. Okay, you're built on your WordPress platform, which should make the content relatively easy to update. Your pages are served properly through that platform. It's a very flexible platform moving forward, albeit we can't actually jump in and see how it's set up, but normally most WordPress sites are quite good. You might want to check on the security elements of WordPress. It needs to be updated regularly and kept on front of the update cycle to ensure that it doesn't become security vulnerable. Now, let's take a look at some of you were asking about some of the UX components about this site, and this is a really good starting point. Let's have a look at your homepage. So, as you can see here, you do have an image of your power station style image, but all your content is below the fold. So this fold line here, the screen line. So I really have no indication of what your core is, who you're targeting, what I should do next as a user, unless I scroll down. Yes, I can see you do power system analysis, substation design. These are your core service offerings, I would imagine. However, that's not initially visible, and doesn't really lead the user into the next steps they need to take. In a lot of instances, this image here should be a rotating banner highlighting some of the key projects or the wins you've had to really energize the visitor. You only have 2 to 3 seconds to really click with the visitor, so you need to communicate that really right up above the fold line, we call it. At a high level, I think you've got some good content in the site related to each of your services, but that's about it. So you're describing in a very technical way, as you are engineers, and that's cool. But there's not so you're sort of presenting your content from an insider looking out, rather than serving from an outsider looking in. So talking to your potential prospects or your customer base around the services that you can provide them, and how it'll best suit them, or that really positioning statement of what Power Grid Solutions offer that your competitors don't offer. So that might be safety and compliance, research, execution, whatever those issues are. So a few technical things. You've got some images missing in these projects, and the more you flick through, you've got lots of images missing from your projects. So I definitely get those all up to date. Where quality power engineering services cost less. So that's really your first positioning statement, if you like, but it's buried down the page. So it's a pretty interesting kind of it's just lacking real engagement, this first page. So I don't really get to know who you are and what you do until I click in about, and this page is fairly loaded with content that could be split out into your service offering to a particular market segment, and who you really are selling to. And statistically, in the consulting firm style, B2B style websites, the staff pages and the team pages are the second most visited page outside of the homepage. So you should really think about how you position your people on your site, because that's who people want to do business with. People want to do business with people, and know, like, and trust those people. So really having some really good content around your people and your expertise and each of those people. I'll show you an example of that a little bit later. Yeah, so this is an example of a service page that you've got your load flow power system studies. So I would imagine this is a load flow power system study. That's what you were trying to talk about. So yes, you do talk about the purpose with quite a bit of text in one block and a graph, but it's not really telling the story about a user. They go, yeah, hey, I really need a load flow analysis done or a system study done. What is it for a start? Hey, I might need a bit more information about what it is, how it's conducted. What are some example sites? What are some testimonials from your clients that are, want to know more about your service offering in this space and your expertise in this space? It's not very clear here. And from an SEO perspective, from a search optimization perspective, you could really optimize this a lot better. At the moment, your title up here is load flow, but probably that should be load flow system power system study. That would capture more of a search, and then your titles here should also be load flow power system studies. Much more specific. You're more likely to appear in organic search with a more specific URL, titles in the page, and content in the page. So let's have a quick look at that. I've done a Google search here for harmonic power system studies. So you have a page about this, but I can't find you in this page. So theoretically, let's go back to power system studies. Here's your harmonic. So theoretically, this page should rank quite well if it was set up properly. I don't think you have a huge number of competitors in this industry for the type of work you do. It's very specific. You should be able to rank okay for this sort of search, but at the moment you're pretty much nowhere. So I'm on Google here, harmonic power system study. I apologise if that's not what you would think people would search for necessarily, but you've got you're not on page 1. 96% of users only search on page 1. So you could really refine your content, do a white paper about harmonic system studies, just develop a bunch of content that is going to match that search, and you'll start to bubble to the surface. Let's have a look at, while we're on that organic search, we've run your site through an initial high-level thing. Now, we can do this in more detail if you like, but you just as an overview, organic research as far as your rankings go are very minimal. You don't have a lot of cut through at the moment. I'm not sure how old this domain is, but you've currently got 8 keywords that SEMrush has sort of identified as words you use regularly on the site. Power system studies being one of them. You're currently at position 86, which is not great. So it's page 8 or 9. PEG certification. Your position 31, substation design. 70. So you haven't really focused on your organic ranking in that instance. So the only choice you've got at the moment to really drive traffic to the site is either via your connections in LinkedIn or using Google paid ads for generating more traffic. So you've got a few options there, but you could do a lot of work in content and how to reposition those pages to enhance your organic ranking. You could do much better in that space, I think. From a technical perspective, your site loads okay. It's not really slow. It's pretty light. It's delivering some. Here's your scores. First byte time is a B, which isn't too bad. And there's some technical things. You're not really compressing the site to deliver any faster, although you're not probably getting a whole lot of traffic to need to have to do that anyway. But this is a breakdown of the loading of your site, and so you've got a few images here around large images that could be compressed a little bit more. You've got some issues around your Google Analytics code not actually loading correctly. There's a new Google Analytics code that you can implement to stop that redirect error. But aside from that, that isn't too bad. Your load time is 10 seconds, your first byte. So that first, how long does it take to that server to respond? 1.6. That should be around 0.8. But that can be tricky to get down to unless you're really throwing a heap of energy at your hosting. So let's go back to your site. So a lot of these pages are all very, like I said before, you're delivering a very brief overview, but you could link in example projects. Who's the person in your team that's responsible for substation design? Who's some feedback from your clients, some photos to back that up. There's a whole bunch of content issues you can work on around these sort of pages. We have a site, we worked on a site and built a site for a engineering consulting firm called Oakley Greenwood. And so I just thought I'd quickly show you their site because it shows you sort of our philosophy on how we put these sites together. So here's consulting experts for the energy and water industries. We know immediately what these guys do. We focus on people. It's all about relationships. Reports, so generating fresh content to the site, reports and expertise. What target industries are you focusing on, and what skill sets or expertise does your team have? To give you an example about the skill sets and how that links together. So let's have a look at market design and regulation. These guys are energy economists. So here's our skill set, a short market design and regulation, brief overview. Here's a drop down into the more refined electricity and gas trading. Let's have a look at electricity and gas trading. So here's our electricity and gas trading page overview, connected reports. Who's the team? Who's the team leader? Meet our experts. So Alex Cruikshank, so I can find out more about Alex here. I can connect. Here's some clients here. So call to action, get started, call us now. So you can see how some of these, and you can look in this in your own time at oakleygreenwood.com. But the people really connect. You're a consulting firm. It's how people connect and really choose you as their engineering firm. And you back that up with your relationships with clients. There's a whole bunch of improvements you can make to your content and how that's positioned. At the moment, it's very technical, and yes, we do this, and you would do it very well, no doubt. However, you're not really selling it to your audience. Some of the other things, the site is kind of mobile, but it's a little bit messy. It's not really very specifically mobile friendly, albeit it is a responsive template. I think some of this text is a little bit too small to be easily readable. But aside from that, look, you've got a good base to work from, but there's a whole bunch of content issues you could also expand out on. Yeah, and that's about it for the analysis. So just reach out if you'd like to know more, and I'll get this through to you. Thanks, Innocent. I'll talk soon.